You probably have seen these do-it-yourself trends all over social media, where for the past couple of years people are making epoxy resin furniture or floors for garages, and people just start to put it everywhere basically. Like, I have even seen already a freaking epoxy chess sets, bro. Like, people are literally doing whatever just to be on trend, which is kind of like it's been forever if you think about it. But when there are talks about literally a poison in your house, that's not okay. And don't get me wrong, it looks cool as fuck. You have probably seen those massive wooden tables where middle part looks like a river or an ocean or some crazy 3D design under the resin. It looks amazing, don't get me wrong. And if that stuff didn't involve so many chemicals during the process, I would probably buy one too. Because to get such looks from, let's say, glass artwork, it would cost insane to say the least. But something about this whole epoxy trend just feels a little weird to me, because epoxy is literally a industrial chemical, and treating it like a regular material for your home furniture is crazy, bro. And I'm not saying it's some instant poison or anything like that, but I just personally don't fully trust the idea of people casually using epoxy in home furniture or do-it-yourself trend and working with literally industrial chemicals inside their homes just because it looks good, bro, on Instagram. And you can potentially make a lot of money selling such products as well. But I feel like today people often design things more for the camera than for real life. You probably heard the saying that in restaurants the camera eats first, right? People take pictures of their food before they even taste it. And now it feels like the camera doesn't only eat first, it also sits first in your fucking apartment. Like furniture or rooms, everything is starting to be designed for how it looks on social media. And when I see huge trends like this, it kind of reminds me of things that happened before in history. Humans always discover some material that seems like a perfect solution for everything, and everyone jumps on it immediately. A famous example of that was asbestos. Back in the late 1800s, cities had a massive problem with fires, where buildings were burning down all the time because everything was made out of wood, and entire neighborhoods could disappear overnight. And then asbestos came along, and it looked like a miracle material. It didn't burn, it was light, it was also cheap, very cheap, and it was durable. So companies started putting it everywhere, bro. It was in insulation, it was in walls, it was in ceilings, it was in ships, and so on. And at one point it was used in thousands of different products. And for a reason, for a long time people thought it was the perfect building material. But later they discovered that the tiny fibers from asbestos could get into the lungs when people inhaled the asbestos dust. And so over many years that caused serious diseases and even rare cancers. The scary part was that it often took decades before people realized the damage was already done, and by the time governments started banning it in many places, millions of people had already been exposed to this material. And it's not that I'm saying that epoxy is the same thing as asbestos, but what I do notice is a similar pattern where a material becomes super trendy and suddenly everyone wants to work with it, even without really understanding what they are dealing with. Because the reality is that working with epoxy does involve fumes, chemicals, and plastic dust. When it's sanded or cut, professionals usually work with ventilation systems or like at least respirators and proper equipment. But if you look at some do-it-yourself videos online, people are mixing resin in their garage or sometimes even inside their house with barely any protection on them. Some people don't even wear proper masks, and all the dust is just all over the place in their apartments. And I have seen creators talk about getting headaches or skin irritation from working with epoxy too much without ventilation, and apparently you can develop allergies to it over time. Another thing is, what I think about is the waste. When people sand big resin surfaces, it creates a lot of very fine plastic dust I mentioned earlier, and if that dust isn't properly collected, it basically becomes a microplastic. And I'm not trying to be the guy shouting about saving the planet or anything like that. It's just something I sometimes think about when I see how big these trends become. All this plastic material, all this dust, just for a table that looks cool for a few Instagram posts. I don't know, dude. I'm not hating on people who work with epoxy. Some artists make incredible pieces and they do it in proper workshops with good equipment. What I'm more talking about is the mass do-it-yourself trend where people see a short viral video and suddenly think they can do the same thing in their living room. I mean, sometimes trends move faster than common sense, dude. That's just facts. And history has shown many times that we often realize the downsides of things only much later. Epoxy itself isn't some evil material. It's used for a reason in airplanes, boats, a lot of electronics, and it's very useful engineering material. But those industries also follow strict safety rules. So I guess my point is pretty simple. If someone really wants to work with materials like epoxy, that's totally fine. Just take it seriously. Use proper masks, ventilation, gloves, and treat it like actual work, not just a quick do-it-yourself hobby in your kitchen, bro. Because when problems show up later, nobody will remember the cool table you posted online, but your body probably will. Anyway, these are just some thoughts I had when I kept seeing more and more epoxy projects online. Maybe I'm overthinking it, or maybe in 20 or 30 years we'll look back at this trend a little differently. Who knows, bro? But if you're going to work with this stuff, at least be careful. Peace out. See you next time.